working on just the skill fundamentals, but then advancing those drills into drills where we can incorporate what we call the third dimension, that sight, sound, that motion around us, and all of the above. So first thing I want to talk about before we go into these drills that we're going to do is really the fundamentals that are non-negotiable. So whenever we're training a setter, first and foremost, the skills have to be tight. The fundamentals have to be tight. We don't need to worry about all those other stuff if we can't set a consistent ball. So we're going to spend about 5 to 10 minutes on the fundamentals that we want to make sure are consistent as we expand these drills. Okay, so the first thing that we talk about a lot about is our hands. Obviously, we want to start with our hands. So let's go to seated sets first. We try to break down the skill, make sure that we're concentrating on one point at a time before adding the movement. When we're working our setter hands, we want to make sure that our window is nice and high in our midline, high above our head, thumbs back towards our forehead, okay? We've all seen the setters that have the thumbs poking at us and look like dangerous spikes. We want to make sure those thumbs are back. And when we release, we're looking for a high five position that creates a triangle with these pointer and thumb fingers, so that when we release, we know exactly where the ball is going to go. Two hands even, creating a triangle, fingers up to the sky, thumbs facing each other. This is what we call our window freeze. Okay, so this is going to be something that you're going to hear a lot as we progress these setters. Okay, and we start with a catch. We'll go to what we call a 1-2 set, where we set to ourself and then set out to make sure that our angle that we are able to control, so that as we progress, we can control the tempo, we can control the height, we can control the angle at which we're pushing the ball. Okay, let's go to one knee. We'll progress to one knee because we're working on weight transfer. Okay, all of us know how the younger setter likes to set, with the hips and the butt going one way, hands going the other. We work our weight transfer to make sure that when we contact the ball, it's high above our head, and then we weight transfer forward. That's so that if we have to take a ball from one end of the court and push it all the way across, we've got a weight transfer to help us do that, to create that distance and to give a setter tempo and rhythm. So we'll go from the seated position to adding that weight transfer. And weight transfer is another thing you're going to hear quite a bit as we progress the setters. Okay, let's go to our feet. Okay, we like to start out with a bounce ball because there's a little bit of unpredictability with a bounce ball, but we're working on 2 feet at a time. Left and right, 2 feet at a time, so that we're not taking one long giant step. We're making sure that as we're in this standing position, put your hands up. As we're in this standing position, shoulders are slightly in front of the hips, or even with the hips, not back this behind our hips. If our shoulders are behind our hips, our weight transfer comes from this motion, our upper body, and that's not what we want to do as we progress to set the longer distance ball. So shoulders stacked on the hips, knees and toes and ankles flexed so that they're ready to move. And then when we weight transfer, it's a heel to toe type action. Okay, so that we create that rhythm for ourselves moving forward. So the bounce ball enables our setters to get into that rhythm of left, right, real quick. Okay, go ahead and bounce ball. Okay, we'll start with a catch. Make sure that they're taking that ball midline, make sure that they're taking the ball high, and that they've got that weight transfer moving forward with a strong window freeze at the end. Okay, let's go ahead and toss behind the head. Okay, tossing behind the head puts our setters in the most drastic square up position possible. Okay, we call where where our setter starts to, whether they're coming from serve, receive, transition, the setter point at the net is one step off of center. So come off a little bit here. Okay, they're going to start at the center point with their back to the net. Ball's coming behind their head, and we're going to have them catch to start because, again, this is the most drastic of square up. When we talk about square up, from the toes to the knees to the hips to the shoulders, all facing the left front pin. Okay, so go ahead, behind the head toss, catch and release. And again, as we're working these drills, we're working on that left-right with a full square up from toes, knees, hips. We're working on taking that ball midline, okay? Instead of the ball coming from behind us, taking it in our left eye where it's over our shoulder so that when we square up, we have to throw it across our body. We want it to be midline so that all we have to do is make the decision, forward, back, at an angle, but the contact should never change. No matter where the ball is coming from or where we're setting to, our contact stays consistent. That's how you have a consistent release. Okay, go ahead and set back now too. Behind the head tossing, setting backwards. Okay, so this is behind the head tossing. We can advance this drill with some of this third dimension, and we'll get to that in a little bit. Okay, footwork to square. We work a ladder, so to speak. So we work our 2-step, our 3-step, our 4-step, and a turn and run to square up. Ideally, what we're trying to do is make sure that no matter how far we come off the net, how far behind, we are getting ourselves where our toes, knees, hips, shoulders, all facing our target. So as we work the progression of some of these drills, we'll continue to talk about those footwork patterns. But Steph, why don't you jump in here, switch. Let's show our 2-step. Our 2-step is, we can create a good amount of distance with our 2-step, but as we move further off the net, our 2-step really becomes the ability to square. So as we get off into this 10-foot line area, the last 2 steps are just to square, not to be a distance, not to get us distance, but to square. Okay, so let's go to our 3-step. That's 4-step. 3, inside foot first. There you go. Inside foot first. Foot closest to the net. There you go. Okay, 3-step, good. Okay, and every setter, length of their body will have different range, different distance based on their quickness and their length of run. But we want it to stay athletic, we want it to stay loaded, and again, as they get further off the net, last 2 steps is a square up mechanism, not distance. Let's go 4-step now, Steph, what you were doing earlier. Okay, so we can do that off the net, we can go forward. So the 4-step is left, right, always squaring up back to our target. Okay, good. 2-step, 3-step, 4-step. We'll talk more about that as we progress. Sorry to be going through this pretty quick, but we want to make sure we're getting everything in. Okay, let's do B's to the box. Josh? Okay, so B's to the box as we work on quickness with our hands. We're going to incorporate a little bit of a jump set, all right, to make sure that the ball is coming out of our hands nice and high and quick. Start center point with your back to the net. Cameron, back to the net. Okay? Go ahead, you guys just fire to the middle. All of these are just the quick fundamental drills that we're going to do, and we'll advance them as we go. So we'll incorporate a slight jump, and right now we're working on a perfect pass type scenario, just to make sure that our fundamentals are good. We're right under the ball, we're contacting the ball high in our midline. With our quick step, we don't want a lot of shoulders flying through the ball, it's a lot of hands. All right, that's good. Okay, let's grab the boxes off here.